charity director for a group that focuses on year 7 and 8, particularly young girls and boys, as they're in the kind of transitional years. And so there's a lot of personal growth, personal responsibility that's part of the messaging, empowerment, academic and personal success. So I'm going to choose a young woman who's inspired me, because normally you tend to think, oh, it's my elders and it's received wisdom. But there's a young woman, Inspiring Vanessa is her name. Please do catch her podcast, her radio show. She's doing everything. But it's the way that she connects with her peers. It's the common experience, the way that she's able to translate different emotional and developmental things that they're going through. It just, when I see the young women who attend the conferences, sometimes it's 250 to 300 in a corporate auditorium, they've had a day out from school, they're a little bit awed by it, and she just comes and she brings this energy, and she brings it right back down to where they can see themselves in her, and I think there's nothing more empowering than that. So for me, the person who has inspired me is Inspiring Vanessa.
Okay. We're just going to let anyone who wants to go next, and then when it comes down to the last couple of minutes, we'll just grab someone. Go ahead, Olga.
Okay. So I think the person that's inspired me is one of my managers. Her name is Christy Gonzalez. She's actually she's a service manager for Learn Ealing. And what she's done is she's come into the team of adult learning, and the people that are already in the team, she works them to their strengths, and that's really inspiring because you don't get many managers doing that. And she's always looking for strengths within the people, male or female, to see how she can get them to do the job that's already there. So you've got a job, and then she'll work you to your strengths, and find that kind of course, or personal development or CPD, that will allow you as a person to kind of challenge yourself, stretch you, to empower you, and it's just fantastic.
And I think more people respond to the carrot than the stick, and I think somebody like that recognizes that. I think there's this idea that some people actually like somebody to hold that stick over them. I mean, earlier when Laurie was talking about procrastinating and needing somebody to hold her to account, you know, I'm convinced that that's rare. I think most people.
It's a rare skill. You don't get many people doing that. I mean, managers, you get in, you just do the job and you get on with it. But for a person to actually find the strengths of you,
yes,
and then bring them
and
out
encourage them.
and encourage
yes.
them, you don't get much encouragement like that these days.
All right. So she's your manager at Christy Gonzalez. Yes.
Learning.
Yes.
London Borough of Ealing.
All right, thank you very much. I wondered, since I went across, we could go straight over to Alex. If you have, don't be in the picture, straight across.
Yeah, there's so many women that inspired me. I was reflecting a few weeks ago on the people that had an impact on my entrepreneurial journey. And most, if not all of my dad's siblings are entrepreneur in some way, and his eldest sister, she passed away a few years ago, but she was a hairdresser and she did some other real estate and this other stuff as well. But I didn't really look up to her as a business person until I was reflecting on her life. And she's had a massive impact on my life that I didn't actually realize until I'm a bit older. But something she did say to me when I was 12, is she says, Alex, you're really good at a lot of things, and anything that you want to do, you can absolutely do it, and you can do it really, really well. And after university, I decided I would test that theory. So for about 10 years, I did as many creative things as possible. So I like music, so I did music production, I did sound engineering, I did sound design, I worked at Quest's Theatre down the road. I had a radio show, I did all these things, tried to test out my own theory. and when it came to a point when I could tell her, she had Alzheimer's, so she couldn't really understand what I was talking about. But she's inspired me in such a way that when I'm thinking that something's hard or I can't get into it, I just remember her voice. And I think those sort of inspirations, someone that you can hear in your head, like goes way, such a long way in comparison to the famous sort of celebrities that we tend to mention all the time. So yeah, that's my Auntie Dolores.
Auntie Dolores, thank you, Auntie Dolores. Straight across from Alex. Straight across from Alex is. It is actually Theo. Go ahead, Theo.
It's kind of similar in a way. So in the early 90s, my mum was working at PwC as a graphic designer. And then, so I've always loved tech. I'm a web developer, SEO, and I'm always in web training. But when I was like 7, she was teaching me how to use a computer. And then when I was 10, I had a laptop before anyone else. And she was always showing me like the new technology, Photoshop when it first came out, how to touch type, all that kind of stuff. And then all the way through, she was just kind of giving me little bits of information. Right, even when I was at uni, she was like editing my work. So I got a good degree at uni because she did it for me. But like, yeah, it's just having that constant support and like influence in that way.
That's really good. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and it just stays with you. Like, she passed away 10 years ago, and it's just stayed forever, and it's always the same kind of message. Yeah, that reinforcement.
So much about learning and encouraging, and I mean,
How many words a minute can you count now?
About 80, 90.
Oh, come on.
But it's not really that. It's more like learning new skills. But
Yeah.
right, let's break the going across. Jasmine.
Well, the person who inspired me, she just recently passed away, Lata Mangeshkar.
Oh yeah.
And didn't really pay much attention until she passed away. And then I was in tears. I'd never known her, but we've grown up with her. And all our life, we've had her songs playing, and every time the song is played, you remember where you were, what you did. And then it made me look at her and I realized that she was only 14 when her father died, and she had to bring up her whole family. She had 3 sisters and 1 brother, and she had to bring them up, and she started singing, and how her life inspired so many people. And she really touched me, and I didn't realize what she meant to me until she passed away.
Yes.
And I don't know, it just until now, I can't believe she's not here. I seem to have been brought up with all her songs and everything.
So we can be touched by people who are really close to us physically, and also, but it doesn't matter how close they are. But she's somebody who's far away from you physically, but she's still touching you.
Still in her life.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and every song of hers reminds me what
That's what it
I was
is.
doing, where I was, and I don't know. She
She was
just
a legend, wasn't she?
she was such a legend. And that day I just couldn't stop crying. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe she
And you
was
wonder
gone.
why you're crying, but it makes sense.
But
Yeah.
it felt like I'd lost part of my life because she,
Connected with so
from a
many
little
memories.
child when I was growing up, I've been listening to her. And I'm sure you did the same.
I think who it was. Lata Mangeshkar.
She's
a powerful singer.
she's a singer, and she just passed away and didn't. It just had a shock
Yes,
to
it was
think
so.
she's not here anymore.
All right. Oh,
She's been part of her life,
yes.
listening to her.
Thanks for that. I mean, Coretta, you were the inspiration. Reading your website was the inspiration for this panel. And I thought, let's talk about women who inspire.
Hi everyone, my name's Coretta. I created a brand called Lena May, named after my grandma, who was an inspiration to the whole family. If I had to pinpoint who's an inspiration to me, I would say it's my aunts, my grandma's children, and my uncle as well. All of them, because obviously they were brought up by a strong woman. She came over from Jamaica, and it was quite difficult when they came over in the 60s, 50s and 60s. And all my uncles and aunts have made a success of themselves, either in some entrepreneur. A lot of them are teachers, doctors, They're very encouraging, and I see it all stemming from her and what she's put in their lives, and they're now passing it on to us as well. So it's my aunties, strong women, strong black women who have really helped, very encouraging to all their children, their nieces and nephews, and we just want to do well and also do well for our family that came over, who had to struggle just to really bring ourselves up. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and good on you keeping this legacy of Lena May. Well done. Thank you. So straight, Janet, do you want to? Shall we save you for the reading, or would you like to tell us about a woman who has inspired you?
I'm afraid I grew up at a time when women were rather suppressed, so I'll save it if I may.
You will inspire us through your
I
reading, through your book. Let me see, who else would like to? Amanda, would you like to tell us about a woman?
I was thinking about it then. I think my name's Amanda. I run Trash and Treasure Markets, which we do a street food night market, and we also do a vintage and artisan market in the borough of Ealing. I was just thinking about it, and I think probably it'd have to be my mum. My mum passed away quite a while ago now, and my mum was born in Madeley Road, moved to Selby Road in Ealing. You can sort of draw a circle around, how far she went. So she wasn't particularly business-minded, but she was a single mum, and so she taught me, to be quite tough. And we didn't have lots of money when I was growing up, so we learned how to cook, and I learned how to look after myself quite quickly. But one of the things my mum used to say to me was, you can do anything, you can go anywhere, you can do anything. Don't be like me. Don't stay, in this tiny little thing, branch out, go. And so I did, I did a lot of travelling. I started travelling when I was 16, and I still travel now. And I did a lot of it on my own because, I couldn't sit around waiting for other people to decide whether or not they wanted to come. But I think a big thing with my mum was that she would say, your success it's not measured by, the size of your car, how big your bank balance is. She said it's about your friends and your family and this kind of love and respect that you get from them. So that's something that I think is really important. You meet nice people and you give out and you get nice stuff back. So I think my mum,
Your mum. She will be pleased to hear that. She will, pleased to know that you.
Yeah,
that's
and it's
what
funny
you say.
because after leaving Ealing at age 16, like running away, like get me out of here, I don't want to be in suburbia anymore. And then I came back here in 2011. I'm actually back where I was literally like in the road parallel to where my grandma and my mum grew up.
Typical.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Anybody else? I'm getting to the point of putting people on the spot. Yes.
Well, without meaning to be same about it, I think if I can start with a very local micro point, I've been inspired to be here today because of you. So, thank you.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Because I think there are people that you don't know, and then you hear them and think, okay, well, that'd be a safe place to come. So I tried it and did it, and here. Sorry.
You okay?
And well done for coming.
Thank you. But going back to the probably the macro level, my mum is an incredible inspiration. So, she's a grandmother to, I lose count, 7 now. She's a mother of 4 that span 20 years between the eldest and the youngest, and she's the daughter of an octogenarian and still works full time, actually for the NHS because she's desperately trying to retire. Obviously with recent issues not enabling that. And I think that when you talk about focus on the challenge ahead and then you can achieve, how do you focus when you are a grandmother and a part-time child carer for some of those grandchildren and working hard? So everything that she does now just blows my mind because she's an incredibly busy woman. But would never recognise what she's given her children because she doesn't see the confidence in herself. And actually what she's given us all is probably that sense of human connection. that now people are looking for.
That's right.
And when I talk to people about coaching and that support and the elements that come with that, and emotional quotients, emotional intelligence, that my mum uses that in spades, but would never say that she has that gift to pass on. And we all have, very fortunately, great relationships in our lives, professionally and personally, because of that gift that she gives without even knowing, and I think that's truly inspirational.
Is she still alive?
She is.
So, and you've told her all these things, right?
She's not good at receiving it, but I do tell. I'm incredibly lucky.
Yes.
And we're all incredibly blessed.
All right.
But she works incredibly hard.
I hope I send her our best. Tell her what you told us about her. I mean, Harpreet, Anthony. Hardip, Anthony, Ajit. Do you want to say anything, Anthony?
I'm really fortunate. I've worked in an industry where it's led by women in the events industry, and I suppose one lady many years ago, a lady called Sue Herbert Daniels, in Stockport in Manchester, she ran the IT division, and she had a team of about 20 people in the IT team, and they were all underpaid. And this was going back about 15-17 years ago when everyone was underpaid. But her team just worked around the clock for her, and I never knew how they did it, and I never knew how she controlled them. And I would think, God, if I worked in her team, I would leave, I would demand a rise, I would want more money, I'd want a bonus. But they just worked to the bone to get the project done. And I think the reason they did that is that she was human. She was able to get to their level and find out about them, what motivated them, and humanize the relationship between a manager and a member of staff. And I used to see people go into her door, and she said, I feel like a doctor sometimes. Because they would come in, they would sit down, and I'd go, what's up? And they would just cry. And she said she knew everyone's problems. And I would see sometimes her coming out screaming because she's had a phone call from the chief exec going, there's a problem here, and she'd go, you've got me into trouble, blah 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 blah, and then she'd bollock them, and then 2 minutes she'd give them a hug and went, now fix it. And everyone would fix it. And it was just that skill of leadership and being able to bring people on a journey and rally around the people around her to be one team. And that was a skill that I've seen many managers fail at.
So it's like something that has to come naturally to you. You can't really hone that.
And it's so beautiful when you see it in action. It is so beautiful because I'm thinking, I want to be in her team.
Yeah.
I want half my salary. Hug me.
Yes.
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 That kind of inspiration.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very